All right, so if you could introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, Andy Crowder, Corporate Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer for Scripps Health.
And you just finished an Epic implementation?
Yeah, it's been a fun ride the past 3.5 years.
3.5 years, and San Diego?
San Diego.
Market. You guys are one of the leaders down in that market.
Yeah.
So 4 years, what were you doing prior to that?
I had led a turnaround of an Epic implementation at Maine Health, and before that I was with Adventist Health System for about 8 years in a CTO role, CIO role, and a couple of other things outside of IT.
So you took over that Maine, that was front page?
Yes. Yes.
Was it revenue cycle or some sort of?
They went big bang with about 40 applications and ERP at the same time, so yeah, they had a lot going on.
And it did not go well since it made the front page.
It did not go well out of the chute, that's correct.
Wow, so that's something that you and Darren Dworkin have in common. You get to come in and fix.
So Maine Health was a great organization. It was just a time where some decisions got made that put them in a bad path from an implementation. After about 90 days, we got it turned around, and they're doing very, very well with Epic now.
All right, so you spent the last couple of years really buried in Epic,
yep.
but there's a lot going on in healthcare. I mean, we just heard talk about AI, machine learning, and other things. What trends are you looking at right now that you think are going to impact your system?
So for us, we just finished the implementations. We've got a double upgrade coming up, and the things that are really important for us are virtual and digital and AI. And so we've got 25 million in 19 alone that we're rolling out for virtual care, online triage, video visits, video consults, really trying to transform the way we deliver care from a consumerism point of view, specifically in the ambulatory space.
So it's really about the consumer experience?
Absolutely. We want to be the differentiator in our market. We've got strong competition from Sharp and Kaiser, and a lot of ground to take back.
Yeah, I mean Sharp and Kaiser. So Sharp has a lot of managed care lives.
Yes.
Do you guys play in that space?
Yeah, we do play in that space, and commercial cap is an area of significant growth for us. We've stood up our ACO from an MSSP point of view this past 2 years now. So we've got about 150,000 to 200,000 lives in our in some type of capitated arrangement, and we see that growing significantly.
So it's interesting. So you have multiple models here. So you're competing for consumers.
Yes.
Do you have a health plan?
Yes.
All right. So you have a health plan, and you're really going after value-based care because you have the
absolutely
the population. So you're looking at video.
Yeah.
You're looking at. Are you doing anything with like transportation?
We're not doing anything with transportation right now.
Okay. Social determinants, that kind of stuff?
Starting to play in that space. And, the presentation that was done today gives us all a lot of inspiration for where we actually have significant opportunity.
Yeah. At the JP Morgan conference, I think Geisinger got up there and talked about everybody's starting to figure out, it's like, what do we do when we find out somebody doesn't have air conditioning, or they don't have housing, or they don't have food?
I think that just means that we've got to leverage our partners in the community, our FQHCs, a lot of our different social services areas, and look at it holistically, whereas today we've just looked at it as healthcare providers.
Do you see that as one of the things that's changing in the CIO role, is that it used to be you were talking to clinicians and you're knitting together networks. Now you're essentially going outside of that. You're going to the federally qualified health clinics, as well as beyond that even.
Yeah, so I think the transformation for us is, we spent so much time the past 8 to 10 years really trying to digitize our own footprint, but realizing that so much of the care and the need doesn't evolve around the healthcare system at all. It's far outside of there. So we've got to be in different places and collaborate very differently than we've done in the past. It's an exciting time.
So Andy, let me, just getting a little geeky here. So big Epic implementation, you can go just the straight up MyChart path, but you're talking about building a digital experience. Yes. Are you going to do anything a little different, or are you just going to roll out?
No, so we're going to take full benefit of everything that we can do in MyChart, but we're also going to leverage content from Mayo. We're going to embed AI and intelligence into all of our digital and consumer-facing technologies. That's social, that's mobile, and I don't think MyChart's going to be able to answer all of it, but we're certainly going to leverage it and try to integrate it. We've got other patient engagement solutions that help us with certain disease states, and we'll leverage those significantly.
Yeah, and so Epic broke apart that and allows you to get to the API, so you could actually create some of those.
They've really opened their toolkit up. I have to give them a lot of credit for that, and I think it's good. You look what's happened in the App Orchard the past year. It's just exploded, and I see that continuing.
So you're going to take advantage of everything that's in there, try to create experiences. Right. How do you engage the consumers to find out what experiences they're looking for?
Yeah, so voice of the customer. We've got a significant effort from our marketing team that's actually engaging directly with customers. We've got a couple of online tools that give us feedback on what they like and what they don't like, and quite honestly, we're our own consumers too, so we have to listen to our own families and friends, and they'll tell you if you ask them.
Oh, well,
they're not short on opinions.
Yeah, it's funny because when you go to a dinner party, you have to decide whether you're going to reveal who you are or not, because you'll get the, oh, let me tell you about my experience, and,
yes.
and you just, you know, to a certain point, we're getting, we're just starting to enter this consumer experience space. We're not Google or Amazon by any stretch, or Amazon really, and others. So we're trying to figure this out. Do you find like the skills are gonna have to change within your IT department? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
But
So, you know, fortunately at Scripps we've got some of the most brilliant resources on our team. Our informatics and clinician resources are just wonderful to work with. And when we built the Epic team, we recruited people from within the organization. So they came from all walks of life that were accustomed to taking care of our customers every day. That kind of customer focus has really paid huge dividends for our resources. And I think that when we engage with others in the industry and outside the industry, they're really, you know, transforming the customer experiences where we can get a lot of significant learning.
it's going to be interesting. You're in a great market. I mean, there's so much.
It's a great and competitive market as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
They have choice.
A lot of startups down there. I don't think people realize how many startups are down in San Diego, but
it's a melting pot for that type of activity, and you know that's actually some feedback from our board members that, you know, you don't have to go this alone. You've got a lot of intellectual property here in the San Diego and LA area, and you ought to be tapping into it. And so part of our JV strategy and business partnerships are really focusing on that in 2019 and 20.
I'm not familiar. Do you have an innovation arm or an innovation?
We don't have an innovation arm. You know, I was just back in Florida a couple weeks ago with a colleague of mine, Tim Thompson at Baycare, and he's one of the ones that has actually stood up an innovation center. So we went to see what that was about, and the CEO, it's his pet project. It's 5 innovative projects every year. Here's the funding source. Run the quick pilots, and so we learned some things there. They had some pretty cool things they were doing with mobile and wearables and how they engage the consumer in that. They got it from the Ochsner model, but we're looking at doing that. We just haven't figured out how to really structure it to get the best benefit.
It's interesting. I mean, you just finished a significant EHR project, and that's one of the things when I'm talking to different health systems, they recognize that when they have a major EHR project, it does consume a lot of resources.
It puts a bright light.
You can't fail.
No, you can't fail. You've got to get it right, and that does minimize where you can have the opportunity to collaborate and where you can spend your time. Now we're in a really unique spot coming out of it. Very successful implementation, and it's time to start collaborating and engaging with others, which is why I love these. You know, we're going to be all over the floor this year in the vendor demos, and our emails have been blowing up weeks before we got here. So there's a lot.
That's one of the last questions I usually ask is, what are you going to do at the show? Are you going to go booth to booth, or do you really have a schedule?
We actually have a pretty detailed strategy. So there's 6 colleagues from my organization. Some are focused on patient engagement. Some are focused on revenue cycle optimization. Believe it or not, that's a consumer engagement strategy as well. And then I'll be looking at telehealth and video, and then we've got somebody looking at AI, all of the top vendors in that space.
That's great. So you've broken it down, split it up.
We'll see if they remember their assignments after this podcast.
Yeah, so, well, and revenue cycle absolutely is a engagement. Anyone who's ever received 15 bills from an organization. Yeah. But that's not a technology project as much as it is, correct. Hey, let's talk through how we generate a bill and how we make it understandable.
Yeah, we actually, our patient experience officer, Dr. Ghazala, and our revenue cycle team are actually getting ready to launch the single billing office, and that's a single guarantor statement, much easier to read, stripped out all those healthcare terms that aren't relevant to the patient and the consumer, and so that's been an area where we've struggled as an industry, so we're going to try to hit that hard in 2019.
It's exciting. I mean, I'm not sure we're going to be able to recognize healthcare 5 years from now.
I hope not.
Getting that single bill that's really easy, being able to schedule things online, everything we need to do. Andy, thank you.
Hey, thank you very much.
Appreciate the time.
Take care.